In a FOX23 investigation, the use of diabetic drugs to treat obesity continues to grow. It's wildly popular. And now there's a new concern. Potentially harmful fakes are showing up.
The problem has prompted warnings from the World Health Organization, the Food and Drug Administration, and drug makers. Tulsa's investigative reporter Jana Clark looks into the dangers you need to look out for.
The feds have already taken action and shut down more than 250 websites that sold these dangerous knockoffs. The warning isn't just about meds online, but also those you could be buying in person. It all started a few years ago. Some doctors started prescribing the type 2 diabetic drug Ozempic, a weekly injection for weight loss. Then the drug's manufacturer received FDA approval for a higher dose of its active ingredient, semaglutide, to treat obesity. It's called Wegovy. Like Ozempic, Mounjaro is also known to treat type 2 diabetes. Its active ingredient is called tirzepatide. The FDA approved it for weight loss under the brand name Zepbound last year. As the demand for these drugs has gone up, that's caused at times a shortage and delays for patients to get these drugs. Plus, they can be expensive. If not covered by insurance, they can cost up to $1,000 per month. Those could be a couple of the reasons why people pay attention when they see ads for cheaper options on social media and online.
Many people's social media feed is just full of offers for these products, and many of them are not safe. They don't come from real pharmacies, and they aren't the real products.
Shabir Imber Safdar is the executive director of the Partnership for Safe Medicines. He wants to warn you that the injectable meds you're taking for weight loss or diabetes may not be safe because they could be fakes. He calls them look-alike counterfeits. Tell me what's going on.
There are these fake old insulin pens that have been repackaged. It looks like the real injector pen, but it's actually typically an old insulin pen that they've rewrapped with a new label. And they put it in packaging that even a pharmacist probably couldn't tell the difference between the real and the fake.
If it's counterfeit, you really have no idea what you're putting into your body.
That's right. There's some really horrible things that counterfeiters put in these medicines because they don't think they're going to get caught and they just want to make a buck.
Some people are buying them from people they see on social media.
We're seeing a new and novel event, which is that we're seeing TikTok influencers not only talk about these medications, but actually import them and sell them to their followers.
Take this woman, for example. She just got busted by the feds. She was selling what she said was Ozempic on TikTok. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the drugs she was selling were misbranded. The drugs caused significant, life-threatening injuries and put all of her victims in harm's way.
I've never thought I'd have to say this, but you should not buy and inject yourself with things you got off social media. Right? I never thought that someone would actually buy something off Etsy where we've seen compounded semaglutide sold and inject themselves with it, but it has happened.
If you take some of these fake medications, what could happen to you?
Any medication you take that is made that is tainted, especially if you inject yourself with it, you're bypassing all of your body's natural defenses. And so fatalities, are definitely on the table in terms of the danger you could have.
Safdar says besides counterfeits, the other thing to watch out for, the compounded versions of these medications.
People who are selling poorly compounded medications, sometimes in med spas, sometimes in weight loss clinics that are sort of fly by night, and online. We're seeing that being sold by TikTok influencers, but also through telehealth companies.
I spoke to a woman off camera who says she's been getting semaglutide injections from a local med spa. They told her the meds are coming from a local compounding pharmacy.
The compounded medications can be unsafe, right? It's really difficult to make a sterile, safe compounded medication. And we've seen plenty of criminals selling them that aren't even compounding pharmacies. But even if they come from a compounding pharmacy, there is risk in making these and making them sterile.
I talked to the owner of a local compounding pharmacy off camera. He told me his pharmacy is not making injectables. And here's why. Because the FDA said not to. The FDA sent this notice to pharmacies. It says when it comes to compounding semaglutide, drugs like Ozempic for diabetes and Wegovy for weight loss, the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act prohibits pharmacies from compounding drug products that are essentially copies of a commercially available drug product. In general, compounding pharmacies may not compound semaglutide. So how are the compounding pharmacies doing it legally? The pharmacist I talked to said they're adding ingredients to the injectables so that it's not technically the same drug.
And we've had some incidences in the U.S. where compounded medications had purity problems and people got hurt. So the FDA recommends that you always use the real branded medication if it's available. And that's why, because there's always a risk in taking a compounded medicine.
What's your best advice? How can patients stay safe?
The key is to go to a real doctor, not a computer doctor or a telehealth doctor, who's going to monitor your health over time as you take these medicines and evaluate to see if you're a good candidate for taking them.
To save money, some people are getting the weight loss versions compounded at reputable pharmacies. I asked about that specifically. Safdar said if you do, you should ask what exactly is different about this injectable versus the on-brand version, because it won't be exactly the same, so you know what you're putting in your body. Covering news that matters, Shanna Clark, Fox 23 News.
Do you have a tip or issue that you think Shanna Clark should investigate? Let us know. Email FOX23 Investigates at fox23.com or call 918-388-5354 or search Fox 23 Shanna Clark on Facebook.